Hi, Liam Ward here at LearnTheHarmonica.com. Today I am teaching you a requested lesson. I've had a few people ask for this. We're going to be playing a classic blues shuffle that goes something like this. That sort of thing. Okay, so this lesson we're mainly going to be looking at the notes involved in this because you need to know the notes in order to play what I've just played. But there is more to it than that. I'm tongue blocking, I'm doing some tongue slapping as well. I have produced a lesson, a 5-lesson set, which is available for download, and I'll put a link to that in case you want to learn more about those techniques, which will really bring on the sound of this classic blues shuffle. That said, not everyone who would play this kind of shuffle would be a tongue blocker, so if you're a lip purser, that's absolutely fine. In today's lesson, we're mainly going to be covering the notes, so we're going to talk about what is actually happening here. You're going to learn a little bit of theory as we go along too. That's just a side product of what we're doing. Don't worry if you're theory skeptic or phobic, because we don't need to know a lot. But you will learn a little bit as we go on with this anyway. Because what we're really doing here is we're arpeggiating the chords. Okay, so that first line, it's basically an arpeggio of the chord. It's not exactly, because there is an extra note added in, but we're running up and down as if a bass player would. So if you listen to bass players during shuffle blues, they kind of be often playing a sort of now we're kind of copying that, but obviously playing it in a higher register because harmonica isn't as low as a bass, so we're doing it in our register but kind of doubling up what's going on there, and it's a really powerful thing to do. So I'm on an A harmonica, and I've chosen an A harmonica just because it's a nice kind of range to have. I do most of my lessons on a C harmonica, but for this sort of thing I thought I'm going to use an A. If you don't have an A harmonica, just follow the tab and you can play it in whatever key you would like. So the first line follows the 1 chord. Now, if that's already scared you, then have a look at some lessons on 12-bar blues structure, that sort of thing. I've got some on my website and on YouTube as well, and other teachers do some great stuff on that. So I might refer to the 1, 4 and 5 chord, but if that's scary for you, again, just think about the tab. But the first line is on the 1 chord, and the 1 chord lasts for 4 bars on the 12-bar blues, so we would play it 4 times, okay? So well, that actually lasts for 2 bars because I've gone up and down the same phrase. So we'd have the choice of going up twice like that, which would last for 2 bars, so we do that 4 times, or you could just go up and down twice, and that will fill the 4 bars. I'm going to go up and down twice, and the notes I'm playing are so the notes we've got there are 2 draw, 3 draw, 4 draw, 5 blow, 5 draw, and then we just go back down again. We go 5 blow, 4 draw, 3 draw, 2 draw, okay? And as I say, we've kind of ascended and descended. So to fill 4 bars of the 12-bar blues, we would play that twice. So that would sound like okay, so that's filled 4 bars, which would be the whole of the 1 chord in a 12-bar blues. In our case, it'd be an E chord because we're on an A harmonica. And then the chord would change, so we would have to change with it. This all works, by the way, with any standard 12-bar blues backing track, preferably a shuffle backing track because that's the style of playing that we're playing. But any 12-bar blues backing track, as long as you've got it in the right key, will fit this progression of playing. As I say, if you're overwhelmed by this idea of the chord changes, that kind of thing, have a little look at 12 Bar Blues structure lesson and then come back to this lesson and it might make a bit more sense for you. So we would play ba 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 bum. Now, obviously what I've just played there, I've just played the single notes. But when I started the lesson, I was playing. Okay, now that's very different, or at least it's somewhat different. It's because I'm slapping the notes, so I'm using my tongue on and off the harmonica. Now, it's beyond the scope of this lesson, so do look into the downloads if you want to learn more about that. But if you're a lip purser, or if you're just not ready for that kind of slapping technique, you can double up each of these notes, okay? So I've just put single notes on the tab, but you can play two of each of those and get a... Okay, so that would kind of start to give more of a ka-chung, ka-chung, ka-chung. Or, if you're a lip purser, you could start with your mouth wider and then narrow it. And then widen it again, so... Which is sort of an imitation of tongue blocking without actually doing the tongue block itself. Okay, so that works, so bear that in mind with everything that we're doing in this lesson. You could apply the double notes or that kind of narrowing and broadening again thing. But I'm just going to play the single notes for now, just to keep it simple so we can see the theory behind it. Okay, so up till now, we've done 4 bars of the 12 bar blues, so we're already a third of the way through, and we've just played... and the chord would change here. I hope you're able to hear that the chord would change if you're familiar with hearing 12 bar blues. At this point we'd go to the 4 chord, which for us is an A chord, which means we'd want to start on an A note, which for us is the 1 blow. Now you're going to need some bending technique for this. There are a couple of bends in this, and it would sound like this. Okay, so that's 1 blow, and then 2 blow, and then 2 draw. Could play the 3 blow if you think you're going to struggle with the next 2 notes, which are draw bends, but a 2 draw preferably, and then a 3 draw second bend, so that's a full step bend, and then a 3 draw semitone bend, and then back down to the full step bend, and then a 2 draw 2 blow. So we've done the same thing we did on the 1 chord, on the previous chord, where we've gone up and then come back down. But this chord on the 12 bar blues only lasts for 2 bars, whereas the previous chord lasted for 4 bars. So what does that mean? Well, we haven't got time to go up, down, up, down. We've only got time for up and down once. So what we've just played is the full length of this chord. Okay, so... and then we're done. We're done with that for now. We go back to the 1 chord. Okay, we're back to the same thing we've just played for the first section. And that lasts for 2 bars itself. Okay, so at this point we're 8 bars in, 2/3 of the way in, because we've done 4 bars on the 1 chord, and then 2 bars on the 4 chord, and then 2 bars back on the 1 chord. Okay, if that doesn't make sense, I'm going to play it now. I'm going to play the first 8 bars. Try and follow it in the tab and see if you can see where I'm at. So here we go. I'm going to do the first 8 bars, and then we're going to get onto the 5 chord, which is the interesting bit. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I hope that's sounding familiar. I hope you're seeing how this would fit with a 12-bar blues. At this point, we've got 4 more bars to go, but there's a little bit of trickiness here because now we go to the 5 chord, and we've got a couple of tricky bends, which are going to be good practice for you, and it only lasts for 1 bar, the 5 chord. Now remember that in these previous lines, we've gone up and down the scale, but that's taken 2 bars each time. Because you've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we haven't got time for that in this. We've just got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can't go up the 5 chord and down it again. We can only go up it, and it would sound like this. Okay, so that is 1 draw, and then it's the semitone bend on 2 draw. Don't bend this down too far. If you're getting and going to that full bend, that's too far. It's a delicate, sensitive little space to hit that sweet spot. Okay? And then the second bend on 3, and then 4 blow. So. And then we go back to the 4 chord for 1 bar. So we'd go the line starting on the 1 blow. That was a bit flat there, but you get the idea. So on this 1 chord this time, because we've only got 1 bar, and because these are kind of, it might get a bit messy if we try doing the whole thing. We kind of haven't got time for all that. We're only doing 4 notes, which you might have heard in what I've done. So 1 blow, 2 blow, 2 draw, and then the 3 draw semitone bend, okay? So we're not doing that second bend on 3, we're just going. Just because we haven't got that much time, so it kind of makes it easier to just do these 4 notes. And hopefully that sounds familiar again in terms of what a 12-bar blues would sound like in terms of what you've heard before. Okay, so just to recap, we're now at 10 bars into the 12 bars, so there's only 2 bars to go. We did 4 bars on the 1 chord, so that was up and down twice. And then again. And then we did 2 bars on the 4 chord. And then back to the 1 chord. Just for 2 bars, so up and down. And then we've got okay, so that's the 5 chord to the 4 chord. Okay, so a couple of bars to go. I'm going to play up to what we've done so far. I'm going to play the first 10 bars. Then we're going to talk about these last 2 bars because these can be interesting. We're going to talk about different options with them. So I'll go from the top up to bar 10. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then you can feel we need a couple more bars here. The 12-bar blues finishes with, well, it depends really. Sometimes it's 2 bars of the 1 chord, so that would mean just going straight back to. So just 2 bars, you know, up and down, fill the 2 bars, and then we'd be at the end of the 12-bar blues. But sometimes there's an extra little 5 chord in there. Now, that is called a turnaround. You'll hear people talk about the turnarounds in 12-bar blues. For us, we're not going to worry too much about that, but if there was a turnaround, and even if there wasn't, you might choose to finish this off, not by just playing that same ba 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 da 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 da. You might do some sort of, or a little turnaround riff like that. Now, that is beyond the scope of this lesson. I mean, I might do a lesson on turnarounds at some point anyway, because they're a great thing to look at. But just bear that in mind. If you're playing along with a backing track, or if you're ever hearing me or another player do this sort of rhythm, you probably hear at the end a little sort of turnaround like that. But for now, it will be fine to play just... and then you might just finish with a 2-draw. And then from then on you might be soloing, you might be carrying on with this rhythm if you're backing someone up or just using it as a practice exercise, or you might finish there, finish with a 2-draw. So you'd play the up and down 1 chord, and that would take you to the end of the 12 bars. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is play that in full. I'm going to go from the start to the end. I'm just going to play the single notes. I have been doubling up some of these almost sort of without thinking about it. I'm going to try and just play single notes. Just like that. But I'm going to go right from the start to the end. Please try and follow the tab and see if it's making sense for you. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Finish just with the 2-draw there to finish. So that would give you a 12-bar blues. Now, as I said at the start of the lesson, the focus of this lesson really for you is getting the notes. So getting that movement around those notes, getting those bends in tune, that is your first step. And even if you're interested in embellishing these things with tongue blocking and slapping, you need to get those first. Now, if you've got those, I've done a series of lessons, a 5-set lesson download, which I'll put a link to, as I said at the beginning, if you want to learn the slapping, those sort of things, to improve this and make it really sort of big, chunky, fat sound that those traditional blues guys got, if you want to get that classic sound. I hope this has helped you get the beginnings of this classic blues rhythm. I hope those who requested this have got what they want out of this lesson. Please give me your comments, your questions, your queries, either as a comment beneath the video, or you can email me, contact@LearnTheHarmonica.com, or you can find me on Facebook if you look for Liam Ward, or if you look for Learn the Harmonica, also on Twitter @LearnTheHarp, or if you just Google Learn the Harmonica. Find me any way you can and give me your requests for future lessons as well. I'd like to know what else you would like to learn. Until then, enjoy this lesson and I'll see you again soon with another lesson. Cheers.